It seems like Tucker Carlson and Fox News could soon be going to war. He still has more than a year and a half remaining on his contract. Fox continuing to pay his $20 million annual salary to keep him off the air anywhere. In the meantime, Carlson appears to be moving ahead with starting his own show on Twitter, where he has 7.5 million followers. Seems like he's almost daring Fox to try to claim a breach of contract and try to stop him. According to Variety, if that happens, Carlson's prepared to litigate, and according to a source, watch the network implode, attempting to challenge free speech. So this could get ugly. Who will suffer more if this gets ugly? Rick Leventhal, former Fox News correspondent, who could suffer more?
Well, I think Fox News suffers in this battle because Tucker is going to wind up with a show somewhere, and he's already saying he's going to be on Twitter. And he posted a video, and he got like 120 million views in about 24 hours. So people still care what he has to say. They're listening to him. He's still getting paid, and he has a really good attorney. So Fox is going to have to pay him, I believe.
Well, I think Fox is going to pay him, right?
Yeah.
The goal for Fox is to keep him from not doing other stuff. And if he does, then there'll be a lawsuit. But then that's the part where I get interested, right? Is then, yes, they're in litigation, okay. But then it's going to get really ugly. Meaning Tucker's going to go after Fox. Fox may covertly go after Tucker.
You know what? I think they pay him.
And then what?
And then he does his show somewhere else, on Twitter or wherever.
So they pay him and then he can do whatever he wants?
Yeah.
The settlement? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, they're going to pay him the remainder of his contract.
Yeah.
And then he's going to do what he wants.
I think it's tricky. I mean, so Tucker Carlson wants to continue to engage his audience. Every moment that he's not engaging his audience, he is losing money. And Fox can't afford to have...
He's not losing money right now. He's getting paid.
Well, no, now he is engaging his audience. But if this goes to litigation, if they have some kind of injunction that prevents him from being able, that they actually are going to stay and enforce the non-compete until the litigation plays out, that's a problem for him. Now, to be clear, I support banning non-competes altogether. I think these contracts are bad news for all of us.
Yeah.
And even if I don't agree with anything with Tucker Carlson. But no, I mean, I think that Fox stands to lose a lot if this gets very ugly. But Tucker Carlson needs to be able to continue to engage his audience to make money.
Here's Tucker, and then I want Joe, you to weigh in. Here's Tucker Carlson talking about starting his own show on Twitter.
Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others.
I mean, look, I'm going to make a point that the reason that that's kind of nonsense is because I can say whatever the heck I want on this show. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
I do look. I don't know what's in Tucker's contract. I suspect that anyone who's been in media knows that absence is death. Every day that he doesn't have the opportunity to be engaging, particularly at the scale that he was, that is a net loss for Tucker Carlson. So I think in some ways this isn't about the money for him. It's about the ability to have a voice in what will be one of the most consequential presidential election cycles that we've had. And I think that part of the reason why you see him on Twitter perhaps might be because these contracts that say that your name and likeness cannot be used in any other form into perpetuity throughout the universe, there may be a glaring omission would have been Twitter just because there was no such thing as Twitter video when that contract may have been written. So maybe there's a little bit of a reason why he's not talking about YouTube versus a Twitter show.
As someone who signed several Fox contracts, I can tell you there was language in there about Twitter and other social media, at least in my contract.
Right.
And I don't know what was in his contract. But he also has a really, really strong fan base. So even though he's not on the air right now, people are talking about him every day.
People are talking about it, but he's moved to Twitter. And the Fox News base that's watching and tuning in every night, I would have to believe is pretty different from who's following
I don't know, but they're not watching. I mean, the dip at his hour, at 8 o'clock, is striking.
Yeah.
I mean, people just got up and left Fox News.
Yeah, left the
But you think
network.
they're going to Twitter? I don't
I think it's
know.
different, right? Like I make the comparison, right, to something like the NRA or Planned Parenthood, right? That there are people that say they're NRA members that haven't paid a due in about 20 years. There are people that say that they support Planned Parenthood that haven't written a check in 30 years, right? So I think there's an affinity group that calls themselves, Tucker supporters, but have been catching him in the clips on YouTube, have been catching him on the clips at Nightly News.
It's like people saying that they want unbiased news, and then you look at what they watch, and you're like, wait a sec, you don't actually.
Yeah, but this guy got 120 million views, and probably 150 million at this point, on a tweet.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.